Hello, my name is Stacy Rogers, and what I'm about to share with you is a deeply transformative testimony about a near-death experience and what Jesus showed me about the true reason why God's chosen ones are facing financial struggles. On February 3rd, 2023, at 2:47 a.m., I died for 9 minutes and 12 seconds during what should have been a routine surgery. I waited almost 2 years to tell this story, spending countless hours in prayer to ensure I could convey every detail with total clarity. And even now, when I speak about it, I feel the tremor in my body, overwhelmed by the depth of the revelation. But Jesus made it clear to me, time is running out, and this message needs to reach his people, especially those who are wondering why they face constant financial battles despite their unwavering faith. Before we begin, I'd love to know where you're listening from. It would be nice to feel a closer connection, even if we are physically distant. Also, don't forget to like and comment on what you think of this near-death experience. Let's have an open and honest discussion so we can all learn from each other on this channel. I hope you enjoy the experience. When it all happened, I was 42 years old and worked as a pediatric nurse at the Minneapolis Children's Hospital. I had been a believer since childhood, raised in a Christian home where I learned to trust God in all circumstances. However, despite my faith, my faithful tithing, and my efforts to live a godly life, I had been struggling financially for years as a single mother of 2 children. My husband had abandoned us 3 years earlier, leaving me with mounting debt and constant financial pressure. That night in February, it all began with what the doctors called acute appendicitis. The pain had been intensifying throughout my shift at the hospital, but I kept ignoring it, something many nurses tend to do. By the time I realized I needed help, my appendix had already ruptured, causing a severe infection that spread throughout my body. The last thing I remember before the anesthesia was praying, saying, "Lord, please take care of my children." I had no idea that this simple prayer would lead me to the most profound and transformative experience of my life. What happened next is something that earthly words cannot fully describe, but I was instructed to try. The moment my heart stopped on the operating table, I literally felt myself separating from my physical body. It wasn't painful, nor was it scary. On the contrary, it was like being gently lifted out of a warm pool of water. I could see the medical team below, working frantically as the monitors screamed alarms, but all I felt was perfect peace. Then came the light. And by calling it merely light, I feel as though I'm being disrespectful. It was a living love, a pure truth, more real than anything I had ever experienced in my physical life. As I was drawn toward it, I became aware of every moment I had lived, every choice I had made, all existing simultaneously in what I can only describe as an eternal now. It was at this moment that I heard my name, spoken with a love so deep that it felt like it was reshaping my entire being. Stacy. I turned, although I wasn't turning a physical body, and found myself in the presence of Jesus Christ. Let me be clear, this was not the Jesus of Sunday school paintings or Hollywood movies. His presence was both overwhelming and intimately welcoming. His eyes carried a wisdom deeper than the universe itself, but when he looked at me, they were filled with a personal love that made me feel completely known and accepted. The scars on his hands shone with a light that seemed to tell the entire story of redemption in a single moment. "My daughter," he said, "I have brought you here because, like many of my chosen ones, you have questioned why you face such financial difficulties, while others seem to prosper effortlessly. Today you will understand." With these words, the space around us transformed. Suddenly, we found ourselves in a place I can only describe as a realm where time and eternity meet, where spiritual truths became visible realities. Jesus began to reveal truths about financial struggles that would forever change my understanding, and I pray they change yours as well. "Look," he said, gesturing to what appeared to be living scenes unfolding before us. "I will show you why my chosen ones often go through seasons of financial hardship." What he revealed next was so profound, so all-encompassing, that I need to share it with you with the utmost care. Each truth wove together with the other, creating a tapestry of divine wisdom that finally answered the questions that had tormented me, and that I know have tormented many of you for years. The first scene that Jesus showed me was both beautiful and devastating. I saw countless believers, people I knew to be faithful followers of Christ, kneeling in prayer, tears streaming down their faces as they pleaded with God for a financial solution. The bills piled up, bank accounts were nearly empty, and hearts were burdened by the weight of constant scarcity. "Look closely," Jesus said. "I will show you what truly happens in the spiritual realm when my chosen ones face financial struggles." Suddenly, I was able to see both the physical and spiritual realm simultaneously. Above each struggling believer, I saw what appeared to be a protective shield of light. Jesus explained, "This shield, which to them manifests as financial limitation, is, in reality, my protection." Many of my children pray for prosperity without realizing that premature wealth would destroy their souls. He made a motion with his hand, and I saw several alternative timelines, possible futures that would have unfolded if these believers had received the financial abundance they were praying for. The scenes were devastating. I saw humble servants of God being transformed by sudden wealth into proud, self-sufficient individuals who gradually stopped praying, stopped serving, and eventually drifted completely away from their divine purposes. "Stacy," Jesus said, "some of my most precious children curse that which is protecting them. They do not understand that I am guarding them from imminent destruction." He showed me how material wealth often becomes an invisible barrier between people and God. I watched as faithful believers received financial blessings they were not spiritually mature enough to manage. Their prayers grew shorter, their church attendance became sporadic, and their hearts gradually hardened as they began to trust more in their bank accounts than in God's divine provision. This is why I allow many of my chosen ones to go through seasons of financial hardship, Jesus explained. It is not punishment. It is protection and preparation. Then, Jesus showed me something that made me catch my breath. He revealed the spiritual war taking place in the invisible realms. I saw evil entities specifically attacking God's chosen ones with financial obstacles. These demons knew exactly who carried God's anointing and created financial barriers with the goal of discouraging and defeating them. "The enemy knows who carries my greatest missions," Jesus said. "Financial warfare is often a sign of great spiritual significance. Many of my children do not realize that their financial struggles are, in fact, a confirmation of their calling." Jesus then guided me through scene after scene, each revealing different aspects of why the chosen ones face financial difficulties. He showed me how financial struggles strip away false security and force a total dependence on God. I saw how every unpaid bill, every financial crisis, was actually an opportunity for God to prove his faithfulness. "Remember the Israelites in the desert?" Jesus asked. "I provided daily manna, not yearly. It wasn't because I couldn't provide for a year. It was because I was teaching them to depend on me daily." Many of my children today are in their own desert experience, learning the same lesson. Then, Jesus showed me something that made me fall to my knees, even without my physical body. He revealed how financial struggles often protect us from toxic relationships and destructive opportunities that could derail our divine purpose. "Look at this," he said, showing me my own life. I saw business opportunities where I had been frustrated for not having the funds to invest. But then Jesus showed me how those same opportunities would have pulled me away from my true calling. What I had seen as God holding me back was, in fact, his protection. "My daughter," Jesus said, placing his hand on my shoulder, "your poverty is temporary, but your purpose is eternal. I am not punishing you. I am preparing you. With each bill you struggle to pay, each time you trust me for provision, you are learning lessons that will serve to fulfill the mission of my kingdom." He then showed me how financial struggles work as a refining fire, burning away impurities in our character that would make us unsuitable for our divine purpose. I saw how periods of scarcity expose our true motivations, reveal our hidden idols, and test our faithfulness. "Many pray for prosperity," Jesus explained, "but they do not understand that character must precede prosperity. I will not release wealth that will destroy the souls of my children." Next, Jesus revealed something that left me speechless. He showed me the spiritual power of contentment in the midst of scarcity. I saw how believers who maintained their joy and trust in God during financial struggles were, in fact, accumulating spiritual riches far more valuable than any earthly wealth. Watch this closely, Jesus said, showing me scenes of believers living in material poverty but spiritual abundance. Their prayers were powerful, their faith unshakable, and their impact on others profound. These are my true pioneers of prosperity, he explained. They have learned to be content in all circumstances, and that makes them unstoppable in my kingdom. Jesus then showed me something that made me weep with understanding: the generational aspect of financial struggles. In the blink of an eye, I saw entire family lineages, including mine, stretching through time. Look closely, Jesus instructed. Many of my chosen ones are called to break generational cycles. Before my eyes, I saw how patterns of poverty, scarcity, and poor financial management had been passed down from generation to generation, like dark spiritual inheritances. But then, I saw something beautiful: how God strategically positions certain believers to break these cycles. You are not fighting just for yourself, Jesus explained. You are fighting for your children, grandchildren, and future generations. Through you, I am establishing new patterns of financial wisdom and spiritual integrity that will bless your descendants. He showed me how my own financial struggles were breaking chains that had imprisoned my family for generations. I saw my grandfather's gambling addiction, my father's chronic debt, and then, gloriously, how my financial battles, while keeping the faith, were literally rewriting the spiritual DNA of my family. That is why the enemy fights so fiercely against your financial breakthrough, Jesus revealed. He knows that once these generational cycles are broken, they will be broken forever. Then, Jesus showed me something that left me stunned: the divine aspect of timing for our financial breakthrough. I saw how God's timing was perfectly orchestrated for many lives, not just mine. Like a chess master, he was coordinating events and circumstances far beyond my understanding. Many of my children pray for an immediate solution, Jesus said, without realizing that a premature blessing would abort the greater purpose I have for them. Watch this. He showed me situations where believers tried to force their own financial blessing through desperate means: high-interest loans, questionable businesses, or compromising their integrity. The results were devastating. What seemed like an answer to prayer turned into traps that ensnared them in even deeper cycles of financial bondage. My timing is perfect, Jesus emphasized. I am not only considering your immediate needs, I am considering your ultimate destiny and the destinies of those connected to you. Then, Jesus revealed something that made everything fall into place. He showed me how financial struggles often protect us from our own premature desires. I saw believers who, in their desperation for a financial solution, would have made decisions that would have destroyed their divine callings, had they had the means to do so. Stacy, Jesus said, some of my children have not been financially blessed because if they were, they would build their own kingdoms instead of mine. I am waiting until their hearts are fully surrendered. He showed me scenes from my own life, where I had desperately prayed for a financial breakthrough. With total clarity, I saw how receiving those blessings would have led me to miss divine appointments and essential spiritual opportunities for my calling. Your struggles are not punishment, Jesus emphasized. They are preparation for a level of authority and responsibility that requires spiritual maturity to handle wisely. Then, Jesus revealed something to me about spiritual warfare that I had never understood before. He showed me how the enemy specifically targets believers who carry great callings from God with financial attacks. Pay close attention, he said, revealing scenes in the spiritual realm. I saw demons creating strategic financial obstacles for believers who were about to step into great ministry opportunities. These attacks were not random. They were calculated attempts to discourage and divert God's chosen ones. But here's what my children often don't realize, Jesus explained. These attacks are actually a confirmation of their calling. The enemy doesn't waste resources fighting those who do not pose a threat to his kingdom. Jesus showed me how financial struggles often serve as a divine filter, revealing who truly loves God for who he is, not for what he can give. I saw believers being tested, just as Job was tested, to prove the authenticity of their faith. Many say they love me, Jesus said, "but their love is actually for what I can provide, not for my presence. Financial struggles reveal the true condition of their hearts." Then, he showed me something that brought everything into sharp focus: how financial limitations often preserve our dependence on God. I saw believers who, after receiving financial breakthroughs, gradually stopped praying, stopped seeking God's guidance, and began to trust in their own wisdom and resources. "That's why I often withhold financial blessings," Jesus explained. "I prefer that my children depend on me rather than be destroyed by self-sufficiency." As these revelations continued, Jesus showed me something that took my breath away: the direct connection between financial struggles and spiritual authority. In the spiritual realm, I could see how each financial battle fought with faith was actually building spiritual muscles and authority. "My chosen ones often focus on what they lack," Jesus said, "but fail to see what they are gaining. Watch this closely." He showed me believers who maintained their integrity during financial hardships. In the natural realm, they seemed to be struggling, but in the spiritual realm, I saw them accumulating what looked like brilliant deposits of spiritual authority. Each bill paid by faith, each act of generosity in the midst of scarcity, each moment of choosing contentment in the struggle was building something eternal. That's why I allow many of my chosen ones to experience long seasons of financial testing, Jesus explained. They are not just learning about money. They are learning how to carry spiritual authority without being corrupted by it. Then, Jesus revealed something to me that made me understand financial struggles in a completely new way. He showed me how God uses financial limitation as a tool to keep His chosen ones positioned for their divine purpose. "Look at what happens when I release financial abundance too early," Jesus said, showing me scenes that broke my heart. I saw believers who, upon receiving a financial breakthrough, immediately moved away from the territories they had been assigned, abandoned their ministerial missions, or became so focused on maintaining their wealth that they lost sight of divine commitments. Sometimes, Jesus explained, what appears to be financial imprisonment is, in fact, my way of keeping my children perfectly positioned for their purpose. He then showed me how financial struggles often create a unique platform for a powerful testimony. I saw believers who, after enduring and overcoming seasons of scarcity, had reached a level of spiritual authority by teaching others about faith and provision, something no theological training could provide. Your struggles are not just about you, Jesus emphasized. They are about the thousands who will be encouraged and taught by your testimony of overcoming. Next, Jesus revealed something about spiritual maturity that left me in awe. He showed me how financial struggles often serve as a spiritual incubator, creating an environment where deep spiritual roots can grow. "Many of my children pray for a financial solution," Jesus said, without realizing that their current struggles are actually cultivating the spiritual depth they will need for their future missions. I watched as he showed me believers who, through their financial difficulties, were developing levels of faith, perseverance, and spiritual authority that would have been impossible to reach amidst comfort and abundance. "That's why I often delay financial breakthroughs," Jesus explained. "I am not withholding from my children, I am investing in their spiritual development." Then Jesus showed me something about divine protection that made my heart overflow with gratitude. He revealed how financial struggles often act as a protective barrier, keeping believers away from relationships, opportunities, and paths that could destroy their divine destiny. "Look closely," he said, showing me my own life again. I saw business opportunities I had lamented losing, relationships that had ended due to my financial limitations, and dreams I couldn't pursue because of lack of resources. But then, Jesus showed me how each of these losses was, in fact, His protection. "What you saw as my withholding," Jesus said, "was, in reality, my protection. I loved you too much to let you be led astray by premature prosperity." Then, He revealed something about spiritual warfare that gave me a new perspective on financial battles. I saw how the enemy often targets believers' finances, knowing that it is one of the most effective ways to distract them from their divine purpose. "The enemy knows," Jesus explained, "that if he can keep my children focused on financial survival, they will have little energy to dedicate to their calling in my kingdom. But watch what happens when my children learn to prosper spiritually, even in the midst of scarcity. He showed me believers who had learned to maintain their joy, peace, and spiritual focus, even under financial pressure. These people possessed a spiritual authority that made demons tremble. That's why I allow some of my chosen ones to experience long periods of financial testing, Jesus said. They are learning to be spiritually effective, regardless of the circumstances. Then, Jesus revealed something about divine timing that brought complete clarity. He showed me how God's timing for financial advancement is intricately linked to spiritual maturity and divine purpose. Many of my children, Jesus said, are not ready for the level of influence that financial abundance would bring. I am protecting them from premature exposure. I saw how he showed believers who received financial breakthroughs at the exact right moment, when their character was sufficiently developed, their spiritual foundations were solid, and their hearts were truly surrendered to God's purpose. That's why I often delay the release of financial blessings, Jesus said. I am waiting for my children to reach the spiritual maturity needed to handle the blessings and responsibilities that come with abundance. As our conversation continued, Jesus guided me to understand deeper truths about the financial struggles of his chosen ones. Come, he said, taking my hand. There are more revelations you must bring back. Jesus showed me how he uses financial limitation to teach true satisfaction, a lesson that Paul described in Philippians 4:12-13. I saw believers who had learned to find their joy in Christ, rather than in circumstances, those who could truly say they were content, whether in abundance or in scarcity. In your world, Jesus explained, people chase happiness through acquisition, more money, more goods, more status. But watch what happens when my children learn to find contentment in me alone. Before my eyes, there appeared people who radiated supernatural peace, despite their empty bank accounts. Their joy was not circumstantial. It flowed from a deep communion with Christ that transcended their financial situation. These have discovered a secret, Jesus said. When they found contentment in me, they found true freedom, a freedom that no money could buy. Then, Jesus revealed something about dissonance with his divine timing that brought clarity to my own struggles. He showed me how many of his children are not experiencing financial breakthrough because they are still not aligned with his perfect timetable. Many of my children, Jesus said, are going through financial struggles because they are not yet synchronized with my divine schedule. Watch this. I saw believers who were desperate, trying to force doors open, making connections urgently, manipulating circumstances to create financial opportunities, while God was orchestrating something far more beautiful that required patience. In Ecclesiastes 3:11, it says that I make everything beautiful in my time, Jesus reminded me. Some of my children are broken, not because I am withholding something from them, but because they are running ahead of my perfect timing. He showed me how God often works behind the scenes, aligning circumstances, people, and opportunities to converge exactly at the right moment. Not a second before, not a second after. Waiting is not punishment, Jesus emphasized. It is preparation for a blessing that will come at exactly the right time. Jesus then directed my attention to another critical truth, how financial struggles often reveal previous mismanagement of God's resources. Some of my children, he said, are facing scarcity because they have not yet learned to manage properly what I have already given them. I saw scenes of believers who had received financial blessings in the past, but wasted them through impulsive spending, lack of planning, or ignoring divine guidance on giving and investing. In Luke 16:10, there is deep wisdom, Jesus said. Whoever is faithful with little will also be faithful with much. Some of my children are in financial difficulties because I am teaching them to be good stewards of the little before I can entrust them with greater wealth. I saw how God uses these seasons to redefine financial habits, transform spending patterns, and develop wisdom that will be crucial to handling future blessings. Then, Jesus showed me the purpose of the kingdom, which made everything fit perfectly. He showed me believers whose divine callings required temporary seasons of material poverty. Look closely, he instructed, showing me men and women called to ministries, missions, or community work that did not bring immediate financial return. These chosen ones often question why they face struggles while fulfilling my will, Jesus said. They do not realize that their purpose requires this temporary season of limitation, not as punishment, but as preparation for a greater work. I saw how these seasons of financial restriction were forcing these believers to develop supernatural faith, creativity, and resilience, qualities that would be essential for fulfilling their missions in the kingdom. Their poverty is not permanent, Jesus assured me. It is preparation for a calling that requires spiritual maturity and that can only be forged in the fire of trials. Then, Jesus showed me the ultimate truth about financial struggles, how they serve as a crucible for spiritual refinement. 1 Peter 1:6-7 talks about trials that refine faith, making it more precious than gold, Jesus said. Financial struggles often serve as that refining fire. Before my eyes, I saw believers facing financial difficulties with grace and confidence. In the spiritual realm, I could see how each financial challenge was burning away impurities, pride, self-sufficiency, materialism, and worldly ambition, leaving behind a purified faith of immeasurable value. This refinement is not punishment, Jesus emphasized. It is preparation for an eternal weight of glory that surpasses any temporary financial blessing I could give. As our time together came to an end, Jesus placed his hands on my shoulders. "Stacy," he said, "you must return and share these truths. My children are suffering unnecessarily because they do not understand the purpose behind their financial struggles." I felt spiritual tears streaming down my face. "Lord," I whispered, "will I remember everything clearly enough?" Jesus smiled. "I will help you recall every detail at the precise moment you need it. Tell my people that their financial struggles are not punishment. They are protection, preparation, and purification for purposes greater than they can imagine." With those words, I felt myself being pulled back into my physical body. The last thing I heard before returning was Jesus saying, "Tell them I have not forgotten them. Tell them their financial breakthrough is coming, at the exact moment." When I woke up in the recovery room, the nurses were stunned. According to the medical records, I had been clinically dead for 9 minutes and 12 seconds. The doctors called my recovery miraculous, with no signs of the brain damage they had feared. But I knew it wasn't just a medical miracle. I had received a divine mission to share these truths about why God's chosen ones often face financial struggles. This testimony is not meant to diminish the real pain of financial struggles. On the contrary, it aims to infuse that pain with divine purpose. If you are struggling financially, despite your faithfulness, know this: God has not forgotten you. He is preparing you. He is protecting you. He is purifying you for a purpose far greater than temporary prosperity. Your financial breakthrough is coming, not in your time, but in His. And when it happens, you will understand why the wait was necessary. Until then, find your contentment in Christ, steward faithfully what you have, trust His timing, and remember that your current struggles are accumulating eternal treasures that neither thieves can steal nor rust can destroy. May this testimony bring to you the same peace and understanding it brought to me. Though my financial situation did not magically change overnight, my perspective was forever transformed. I no longer see my struggles as punishment, but as preparation for a divine purpose that will be revealed in God's perfect timing.